What's up, everybody? This is Joseph R. Wheeler, the third, the artist, the founder, the president of the ONYXCON Foundation, giving y'all some thoughts. As I often say, I get my best ideas when I'm hiking, especially taking a nice walk in the woods, fishing, things of that nature always get me going. And sometimes when I don't have my music on and I'm riding, I've been checking out a lot. And when I say a lot, it's in between other stuff because I can only take so much of this stuff. But I've been checking out a lot of content in regards to relationships, in regards to a multitude of topics, but mainly the hottest topics that cater to the African American demographic, especially men or men's needs in relationships with ladies, and trying to understand the psychology of each other, men and women talking about each other, from both sides of relationships. And I've come to realize something. I said, we are really in a really, really interesting time in history in general, but to be specific to relationships, this is a paradigm shift moment, y'all. I mean, it happens every so many years. We're not the first to do it, but ever so many generations, it's a different version of it. And in my time, in my later years, or should I say not later years, excuse me, mid years, if you would, you start to realize the importance of everything as it relates to who you let have your time, who you want to spend your time with, and who you could possibly see yourself with, if ever, on some forever stuff. You know what I mean? And I have many philosophies about that, and I share them a lot through this content. But what I'm seeing with other people sharing their ideas is that there seems to be a standoff, generally, between men and women. People aren't just allowed to meet each other anymore. And, well, let me say this. You are allowed to just meet each other and not let the influences of social media and all this stuff dictate or sway your opinions on each other or how you operate. But the bottom line is we're all on these. We're not all. That's my point of saying, hold up, let me not say all. Most people, though, in the world participate in this matrix.
The matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
And I like how people say the matrix when they're talking about the whole dating thing, only because being a sci-fi fan, I like anything that represents science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, all the genres that built ONYXCON from the beginning of what we were as a Comic-Con. You see the same thing happen with popular culture when it comes to people talking about this dating thing. They use words that sound like something out of a comic book. I'm hearing all this stuff about men who have certain strong opinions on how they want to date and who they will and won't date and where they will go to get a date and marry and blah, 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 blah. And they're calling it red pill, and they're talking about the manosphere. And then I heard some new ones the other night. I didn't even bother looking those up. I get tired, y'all. I was like, hey, wait a minute, there's another one? What is that? Oh, could y'all please? And then let's not even get into, all the specifics of orientation. Or gender and gender identity, orientation, identity. And it's simple no more. And ain't nothing back to basics. And it always makes me laugh because I'm like, being a naturalist, being somebody who prides themselves on seeing myself as a part of nature. I see all of us in humanity. All human beings are mammals. We are mammals. We are animals. We are mammals. Okay? We let our little human ego over time create different other realities for ourselves and tell ourselves we're not what we are and we don't have the needs and wants of what we will always have because it's built in from me.
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
You know what I mean? When you speak of the SUM, the sum of all things, all right, universe blessed, feel me? Not religious, y'all, truly spiritual. I'm a universalist. So understand, I'll tell you right now where I'm coming from. It ain't gonna be hidden. It ain't gonna be, as I talk, he said this. Wait a minute, he must mean, I bet he's into, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm into and what I'm not into. And that's part of the main point I wanna make about all this is, I don't like these little phrases because I use them because I understand. I use them in hashtags. I use them in a video like this because I know it's going to speak to a broader audience than people who I know rock with me and understand what ONYXCON is about and love what I'm representing. And then there's people who are on the fence. You know, they're not sure what they want to be with, or they just want to check you out. They might like what you got to say, they might not, but this is how they're going to determine it. I notice a lot of the people who do these types of content on relationships, there's two types. There's people who are real direct like myself. I'll tell you exactly what kind of person I am, what kind of man I am, what I'm about. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not trying to quiet it. I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm not what I was born to be, because it is just what it is. I live my essence. I'm here for it. I know my purpose, and I'm here to leave a legacy. You know what I mean? But then there's people who kind of like twiddle and tweak their stuff and don't quite say what they stand on or what they're about. And they do that on purpose sometimes because they feel like, well, I'll get a broader audience if I'm vague. I can't be vague. I don't like vague. I don't do vague very well. I mean, you know, if I'm acting, okay, I can play a character because I know all of these mind states. I can show you what vague look like. I can play a character and you be like, dang, he played the hell out of that. Is that him? No. I just know people. And that's what actors are able to do. We can translate what people do into what you see on the screen. So all this red pill stuff, first of all, when I first heard the phrase, I got excited. I said, oh, and they're saying Matrix. Oh, snap, what? You know, I use that. I say that all the time. I mean, all us Matrix fans, we love the concept of the Matrix because it's a play on reality versus fantasy. And, you know, knowing that so many things we deal with in everyday life are just one big fantasy. But if you ever got to face the reality, it's this harsh, cold place with monstrous octopus-like robots coming to get you, and Agent Smith, you know, that looks like just a Borg-style robotic FBI agent that's gonna crack the door down. He's got super strength and he can multiply himself, and you gotta fight him and fight him off. I'm like, yo, they talking about that? And then you're like, nah, they're not really talking about none of that. They're not. I mean, they're using it because they know it's catchy. They know it's popular art. That's why I'm always talking about the power of popular arts and what we represent with ONYXCON. And then they say, you know, the whole red pill, blue pill. You know, if you take the red pill, you wake up to the reality. You don't stay asleep. You don't stay plugged in to the Matrix. But here's the reality. There is no complete wake up. That's what the movie was trying to say, that even though Morpheus and Neo were all born in the Matrix, and then there were people who were born in Zion, like the folks who ran the ship. Yeah, there are people like that. But most of us, if you have a cell phone in your hand, a computer in your house, you make money somehow, some way from looking at your phone and using your phone, a so-called smartphone, you're in the Matrix. That's the concept. You're in it regardless. You're fighting the good fight within it. To be Neo, you got to fight the good fight within it, right? So it's not about, you know, calling somebody red pill and everybody else is blue pill and thinking, you know, you got it all figured out. So now y'all the architects, right? Yeah, okay. Right, whatever. You know, it's a lot of that going on. And I hear it in the way some of these guys and gals talk. And it's funny to me, it's hilarious, because it's like half these folk ain't even real, you know, geek culture aficionados. These ain't real blurs and nerds, if you will. Blurred means black nerd, if you don't know the phrase. I never liked the phrase. I never liked the word nerd. I didn't really like blurred, but I'll take blurred over nerd any day, just because we blackified it and made it our own, and that's what we do. You know, we'll do stuff with stuff like that. But anyway, you know, a lot of these people, they may or may not be like that, but they're not that enough, in my opinion, when I hear some of the conversation they're saying, because they're using it and they're so serious about it. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is why I don't go with these little catchphrases and hashtags sometimes, because, like I say, I'll use them to get your attention, but when you get in here, you're going to hear what I really think about it. I'm not going to say I won't use a hashtag. Hashtag equals money, because if enough people come looking for that hashtag, they get curious. That's more time looking at my concept. That's more toward my goal of 4,000 watch hours. I don't care who's watching. Please watch. If you hate everything I'm saying, if you don't like my hat, I don't care. I don't care what you don't like. Keep watching. Please. Please keep watching. Please keep watching. So, yeah, the hashtag thing, you know, I hear it all the time. You know, even people who aren't with it and know that they don't want to claim these titles much the same as me will bring it up. Smart move. I understand what they're doing. That's what we all got to play this game in the Matrix. They talk about this red pill thing. And so it basically means, you know, especially from the perspective of a lot of black men who also get labeled as passport bros or passport brothers. You know, they try to say, you know, y'all are all the guys who are fed up with black women here in America, so you go everywhere else and you want to date everybody else but black. So see, this is where I get concerned, because now this is starting to point a finger at some things. Like, you know, you look at anything, you try and define it. If one of the definitions starts to sound like you, but then the rest of it don't, you're like, wait a minute, hold on, I ain't with all of that. Who said I was with all of that? Which is why I'm very concerned about the passport bros thing and the red pill thing, because if you allow somebody to call you that or label you that, anytime people can put you in a box, it's easier to deal with you. It's easier to limit you. I don't like limitations like that. I do not like limitations like that. Now, I will stand on some things firmly, like I say, and just be completely black and white on it. But, for the most part, I understand that you got to be gray on most of this stuff. So, and I say gray like being a real artist, a real visual artist. I say gray, you got to understand gray. If you ever do grayscale in a computer on an image, you'll see that there'll be a different tone for every color that was in a vibrant colored picture. You can have a picture with a million colors, right? You flip it over to gray, you got a million grays. Things are not that simple. There's all these other fruits. I could go on and on for a day on metaphor over here, but the bigger point is you're in the matrix, and when people use these phrases, it limits you. And it's limiting the creativity. And that bothers me the most, because I'm an artist, I cannot stand. Don't you mess with my creativity, all right? Don't go playing with the creativity. That's when I'm going to get militant. I'm here for art life. You understand? That's when I'm going to stand 10 toes down and all the other little phrases. You know what I mean? I ain't with it. I can't stand that. So, red pill, to break that one down again, is, they say that that's supposed to mean that a lot of people who get labeled that, they try to make it like they hate women. Like, a lot of the women who criticize them say, these men hate women anyway. Some of them probably gay or whatever, so I damn sure don't want to be that, because I'm not. It's just not what I am, so I don't want to be labeled that. Then some of them try and make it like, even if they're not on that side of things, they straight, but they just hate black women because they don't want us. And then they'll give every reason why a dysfunctional woman, black, white, whatever, should be acceptable. And that's where there's a line got to be drawn. It's like, but you're dysfunctional. Do you hear yourself? Like, you'll see these videos and you say, golly, man, these dudes and these women, a lot of these folk crazy as hell. Like, because they standing on something thinking that they're completely right no matter what. It's my way or nothing at all. And yeah, that would be okay if what you were saying has been proven to be effective and functional. Ain't about good and bad, right or wrong. I said functional. But when you see all this dysfunction, it's obviously dysfunction because there's too many people arguing. Whenever there's a reason for people to argue, there's a lot of dysfunction in it. Because somewhere in there, somebody's not telling the truth. The truth will shut everybody up, generally. A fool will argue with a wall, but most people will shut up when the truth comes in the room. So for something to reach this fever pitch where so many people have these videos out and they're all arguing back and forth about the same thing from these so-called platforms of position on things, it's hilarious because, at the end of the day, they're trying to make a buck off of YouTube. All right, ain't nobody knocking your hustle on that, but can y'all be real? Because, you got the ones who know better than they're saying, much smarter than they appear, much more savvy than they come off. And then you got folks who really just don't have a clue, but they got something to say no matter what. All right. So then, like I say, this passport brother thing, I'm a black man who just started my journey on traveling abroad. I've traveled throughout the U.S. I have been to Mexico. I have been to the Bahamas when I was young. But I did both of those trips at a younger age, and I consider them part of my travel experience, but not my whole, like the beginning of my thing for being an individual, because I was a kid when I was in the Bahamas with my parents, family trip, and then Mexico, even that was like a family style trip back when I was still married. I'm divorced, and I went with her family over the border just for a day trip from Tijuana. I'm coming, I'm letting y'all know. So I decided, when I went to Malaysia, my first trip, right, it was a very highly emotional, very personal, very powerful business decision for ONYXCON on many levels, very emotional and serious for me as an individual, like I say. So it was just a lot. It was a lot riding on it. I'll never regret it. I love it. I still think about it every day. I think about where I went, how I spent my time, what I learned from it, the whole nine, right? And part of that journey was, you know, I didn't think I would ever turn this into part of my conversation in relationship goals in the art life, but it's worthy because I think it can help somebody. And I always keep it vague out of respect for my, you know, who I will always call a friend. And, you know, and she is not of the direct African diaspora. I say direct because all human beings are of the African diaspora one way or another. We all spawn from African roots. That's a guaranteed fact of human existence. But I'm just saying she's not of direct African descent. And I've dated other women of non-direct African descent. Proudly I have. I enjoyed their company. And I actually have found, you know, just the way my life went, some of the best experience, S-O-M-E, some of the best experiences I've had, and definitely the longest experiences I've had, have been dating women that were not of direct African descent. Now, the stereotype is somebody immediately jumps to, oh, handsome black man, he may not be rich now, but watch him. As soon as he makes some money, he gonna marry a white girl, whatever. He white. I bet he was dating white women. So what if I was? But guess what? There have been Latinas of many different types, because that's a broad range, and Asians of many different types, because again, that's a broad range. And it hasn't been, we're not talking about a whole lot of people. We were just talking about specific situations. And because of that, I got a thing where I learned real quick from just dating all types of women. Women are women, people are people all over the world. Please believe that. I'm an advocate for that. And that's another thing about this whole conversation that gets going about red pill this and passport bros and y'all hate your own people and you just trying to run from yourself and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's so backwards because on many ways, people are trying to, like I say, box people in, make it like we're all one thing and everybody else is one thing. If you say Asian, that means one thing. If you say Latino, that means one thing to these types of people. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, there's so many different ways about all of this. And I'm really annoyed with the fact that more and more there's a standoff, and there's so many women especially saying they feel, you know, I've heard women say just what I just said about women are women everywhere, but when they say it, they don't mean what I just said. They don't mean, yes, people are people and women are women in a broad sense. They think if they're ignorant and backwards and controlling and aggressive and all this other stuff that the men are leaving to find the opposite of, they think, yeah, you're going to find the same thing over there. They just being nice to you until they get your money. You hear that all the time. No. Nobody I ever dealt with here or there actually was after my money, because I'm an artist living the art life in the beginning stages of a very powerful career. Meaning I've been somebody who should have had dollar signs behind my name considering what I've been able to accomplish, but it's a tough long road, and I'm still on it. I'm still on that curve, but I'm coming. I can see the goal, you know what I mean? I'm finally in a place in life where I can see the goal. And so that creates a different situation when you can, you know it's coming. And even in that, and sharing that with the ladies I choose to have in my life, I vet my people. You're gonna be one of these ladies in my life, women, you will be vetted. I'm gonna know that you about something before I let you in. I'm gonna know that you ain't here for money and all of that, because that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I know how to do things the right way, respectfully and honorably. I'm all about that. No matter how ugly things can get in relationships, I'm about honor. And I want to clear things up, and I hate to leave anything without closure and respectable conditions of why we departed. Sometimes it's impossible because people just, they stuck in their feelings so much and they think they right when they wrong, or refuse to accept your apologies, or don't want to give apologies. There's a million reasons, right? And that part can be true all over the world. So there you can have the issue of sometimes women are women, but even in that, the women I've allowed in my life, most of them, none of them, if they were from other foreign cultures, either, born here but from another culture in the sense of in their home life, their family life is from another place, because that's been some of my best situations. And also overseas, just talking to folk overseas. And I found that the reason why is because a lot of them tend to have a strong family unit. And I know that that's what a lot of these other folks out here that I've had issues with lacked in their life. They did not have that kind of relationship with their parents. For one reason, one of them maybe, and the other one, no, not at all. Or one is okay. I've dealt with women who hate their dad, never knew their dad, or knew their dad, but still hate their dad. Know their mom, love their mom, stay with their mom, don't live with their mom, but don't want their mom in their business, but mom just trying to help them not make the same mistakes they made when she was their age, and they don't want to hear it. And I done dealt with that. I done dealt with folk who, the ones who got both parents, but parents crazy and neglecting and don't really know how to show real love. They got this weird love and everything's materialistic and, have money and everything. Just put a gift on it and shut up. I gave you everything you need. What else you want from me kind of love, I done had those kind of women. I done had all that. So when you go through that, you start learning why people are how they are and why you can't change them in a relationship, because they don't have any other example of how to be anything but hurtful. Like, what you consider hurtful is to them just another day in the life of saying you got a man or a woman in your life. It's like you're in a relationship, right? Relationships hurt. That's what it's supposed to be. Oh, people argue. That's what we're supposed to do. No. Who told you that? Who told you you're supposed to be arguing? No. Oh, come on. It's impossible to not be, in an argument. You're supposed to have arguments. Like, I've met people who talk this way, that crazy about it, Don't understand. No, it's possible, and I've experienced it, and that's why those relationships lasted longer than the other ones, And so that's a thing, y'all. That's a thing, and all these things are things to consider. So yeah, y'all. I mean, just don't let these phrases literally box you in to where if you want to travel, black men, black women, anybody, if you want to travel. You know what I'm saying? If you want to travel. If you want to go anywhere in this world, go. If you can afford, first of all, figure it out and go. You know what I mean? Because you only got this life once, and I promise you it's worth it. No matter where you go to see something different, no matter who you meet to be around somebody different, it's going to be worth it. For better or for worse, you're going to learn something about yourself and about people, and it's going to enrich your life. That's what we need to create some hashtags for. Don't get caught into whatever's so popular that, this thing can grow to the point it starts labeling you things you're not. So just be real careful of that. Because I ain't claiming no red pill. I ain't claiming no passport bros, but I have a passport. And I'm a black man with a passport that loves to travel. I don't know. Can we write that one out with a little number sign in front of it? Hashtag. Live your life, y'all. Be free.